Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids. It is the start of a brand new week and we've got some massive news today. The game will truly never be the same after the balance changes I'm about to reveal to you. Teased, I think roughly 6 months ago. Is it something like that? They said, guys, just wait. There are big balance changes coming next year. We're getting back to it. The first ones coming up are Fortus and Angar. Those buffs are going to be coming at the start of 2024. They've been cooking, they've been working on these non-stop since then, grinding away. It's good news, you know, Kraken week, all the stuff for like, you know, all these events for the Gigante Archer and all of that, whatever. Don't worry, all of it, that money has been invested. It has gone to a good place, and we are here. So first up, we have the Fortis buff. This is it. It's been a long time coming. Here it is. Here it is. That's it. Done. Fortis. Rework complete for Astral Terror. Damage increase. So what is this? Basically, Astral Terror is his passive. So basically you've got a chance, 40% chance to unlock it for a turn whenever a fear or true fear debuff is placed on an enemy. So it's a pretty decent chance to unlock it. And then, yeah, it ignores defense against targets under fear, true fear. It always crits targets under fear, true fear. And then, allegedly, it does 10% more damage every time a fear or true fear debuff is placed on an enemy. Now, back when Fortis was first released, I believe this did work basically as described. That's sort of exactly what it did. It started off not hitting very hard, but then it would scale up. And actually, you know, after a few fears were placed, it would start to hit pretty darn hard indeed. So he was actually very strong for clearing Doom Tower waves. So that wasn't super useful. Would have been quite decent for Cursed City. Then they came in and they reworked Fortis back then. They upped the base damage of this. So it started hitting harder, but it doesn't actually do this, at least live in game now. It says the damage goes up by 10%, so straightforward enough. Let's say you hit for 100,000 the first time, a fear gets placed, 10% more damage, 100,000 should become 110,000, straightforward enough. Not actually what it does. I believe it actually, the way it interacts with the multipliers, it actually only increases the damage by like 2% or something. So basically the scaling on it really goes down, and your reward for placing lots of fears and true fears is almost non-existent. So we don't know. What I personally find funniest about this is it doesn't actually tell, like, come on, like, damage increased. What have you done? We don't know. So we basically have to wait for someone to data mine exactly what is actually changing with this. So we'll see. Maybe they'll fix this. Maybe they'll just up the damage and it will still only increase by 2%. Who the heck knows? We've got no clue. Just adding on to the comedic nature of this announcement. Clown Town is here. We've gone to Clown Town. So yeah, that is Fortis. Will Fortis be good after this? Well, he'll be good for Cursed City. He might be okay, but it's not really what we're looking for. Like, a lot of Fortis, he's got a lot of weird stuff. Like, he has, again, his A1 always crits for targets under fear, true fear. This passive always crits against targets under fear, true fear, but his A2 doesn't do that. So it becomes bizarre. Like, do we build him with no crit and just hope that he crits? Not really. That's so unreliable. So it becomes very awkward of, well, we got to build him with crit anyway. And suddenly a big part of his power is tied into this guaranteed crit stuff. Like, that's going to be a power factor in his kit. And he's not really making use out of it. Very bizarre. Very bizarre indeed. Yeah, I mean, he can put true fear that can't be resisted by targets under fear. It's just weird. There's a lot of stuff they could have done to make Fortis more useful, more powerful in general. He's still fairly underwhelming. Like, he will be good for Cursed City, don't get me wrong. He'll be strong there, but he's still pretty underwhelming. He's got a nice passive. The passive part is very nice, but yeah, we'll see how the damage goes. I mean, if this hits crazy hard now, then yeah, maybe. I mean, that's it. I mean, we don't know. Maybe they came in and they're like, let's just up its damage by like 5 times, right? They're like, Taurus is in the game. Taurus is so obnoxiously, stupidly, blatantly overpowered compared to everything else. I mean, Harima's sort of up there as well, but Taurus is like on another level compared to most champions of just silliness. Maybe they've made Fortis similarly OP. They're just like, yeah, just give him ridiculous damage because, you know, why not? Just one shot everyone like Taurus does. Why not? We'll see. But that's the Fortis change. Disappointing. Fortus remains you know, this sort of in theme. He remains probably the biggest screw up they've ever done. He was an 80, I think it was only 80, which is low, Void Shard guaranteed event. But coming up to the guaranteed Fortus, they said, okay, Fortus isn't very good. We're going to rework Fortus. We are not going to tell you what we're going to change about him until after this guaranteed event. We know there's a guaranteed event coming. We know we're going to be changing this champion. We are not going to tell you until after this event. It's the single scummiest thing they've ever done. Like, just on another level of like, what the actual F is going on here? And then the rework came out and it sucked. And now we've got this one. It's sort of in keeping. We'll see. We'll see how hard he hits, but it's disappointing. No doubt whatsoever. Next up then, we've got the Angar changes, which are actually a bit more substantial, though not, I think, enough to make him really, really good. So Angar is pretty much one of the worst Void legendaries. Probably seen a little bit of life with the Cursed City, because like he does have a provoke. So that's okay, right? Decent for Cursed City, can be pretty big. Let's see what they've changed with them. So Infuriate, this is his A2. The damage has been increased. It is now going to have a 75% chance of placing Provoke for 2 turns instead. So pretty simple. The damage, let me actually get the damage of this. Okay, so for Fortus, sorry, this is Angar. For Fortus, first of all, these are his multipliers. If you're curious, like a 3x defense, okay. 3.8 times defense is okay. Again, you can see where this goes wrong, right? It's a 3.5 times defense. Then it adds a 0.1 multiplier per fear count to it, which is obviously not increasing its damage by 10%. Obviously not. If you multiplied it 3.5 times defense, if you multiply that by, 1 plus 0.1 times fear count, then you'd have a 10% damage increase, I suppose. But yeah, no, this is not. You can see the maths is wrong. But anyway, that's that. So yeah, that's Fortus. If you look at Angar, the damage going up. So he has a 2 times multiplier in his AoE. That's really bad, right? That's really, really bad. Bearing in mind, I think Magnar has a double hitter. That's probably like 0.25 for 0.5 multiplier of his HP total. And he's still one of the hardest hitting, practically, certainly, HP champions. So we'll see what this goes up to. Probably not that much. Probably like 0.25 or 0.3. I mean, they'd have to really double it to start getting particularly good. I think that's fairly unlikely. He only has 50% crit damage baseline anyway. I'm not expecting much damage out of this, but we'll see. We'll see. But now, instead of being a 1-turn provoke, it's going to have a 75% chance for a 2-turn provoke instead on a 3-turn cooldown. That's actually pretty good. I will say the obvious, like, there's no books for this, right? So it doesn't book up to 100% chance or anything. It's just you've a 75% chance to provoke for 2 turns. Like, a couple of weeks ago, that would have been pretty exciting because Molly is a similar thing. She's got a 50% chance to provoke for 2 turns. So that's sort of a bit of an upgrade on her. That's cool. But I mean, the problem for me right now is we've just added in an AoE provoke that's a 2-turn provoke against bosses on like a non-void legendary. She just gets a 2-turn provoke on boss. I mean, that's only useful for the one Hydra boss or for Magma Dragon, which isn't that important. But yeah, isn't that makes this a bit weird. I guess Angar is going to he will be good for Cursed City. That's no question. Like a 2-turn very good chance for 2-turn provoke on a 3-turn cooldown AoE. Gonna be amazing for Cursed City. Really strong for Doom Tower progression, so that's somewhat nice. But yeah, so we got that. Still does the reflect damage, still puts counterattack on him. Then his passive has been buffed as well, so it now is going to give you a 90% chance of putting decreased attack for 1 turn. I think his passive does buck up, so yes, it will buck up to 100%. So his passive is going to be still the same. If an enemy with a provoke debuff attacks, now this is terrible wording, it's if an enemy with a provoke debuff attacks Angar, must attack him. It's not if they attack. No, it's if they attack Angar, then it will be a 40 bucking to 50% chance to put provoke on them for 1 turn. So this is a big problem, particularly for Hydra, because the Head of Decay, he attacks the person with the lowest HP, and that overrides the provoke. Yes, he'll miss his turn from provoke, but he's never going to attack Angar. Angar is extremely tanky baseline. Angar is basically never ever going to be the person on your team with the lowest HP. He'll basically never be attacked by Head of Decay and therefore never get this chance to extend it. It will be obviously, it's obviously good for wave content where you can keep provoking. That's fine. And now, like I said, it's going to give a 90 going to 100% chance of putting decreased attack on them for 1 turn, which I suppose it might keep him. Does that apply for? I'm not sure if it applies to multi-hit skills. We'll protect him from multi-hit a bit. We'll protect him from the following turns. Sure. So it's a small bonus. I don't see that as being particularly massively useful. It seems like a pretty small thing. And then ally HP in all battles by 33%. Right now it's faction crypts by 44, being changed to all battles 33%, which is actually pretty substantial. That's quite nice. 33% HP in all battles is a really good aura. But yeah, Angar, I feel like he's really in a similar spot to where he was before. I do think it becomes more usable, but I also feel like it's a little bit... I mean, the Archer makes it pretty disappointing. If Archer didn't exist, if the Nergigante or Nergigante Archer didn't exist, I'd be more excited about, AoE 2-turn provoke. But seeing as you kind of have a version of that, it's a little less. But I think this is okay. Angar, he's still not amazing, right? But look, AoE, decent chance for 2-turn provoke. And a couple of small bonuses. He's still kind of underwhelming damage. He's going to be, again, like I said, he might hard carry some stages of Cursed City. If you're progressing in Doom Tower, he's going to be very helpful. He'll be amazing in early game arena, but later in the game, it's not going to be really useful at all as it stands right now. I mean, maybe when the polymorph stuff comes in, you could have a buff stripper and then have him come in and potentially 2-turn provoke. I mean, maybe that's actually going to be really good. But right now with polymorph, that's just not something that's really done. And again, you've got extremely tanky champions like Taris and Marishka and Ultimate Death Knight and all the rest that really coming in with Stone Skin, coming in with cleanses, coming in with block debuffs, Sifi, etc. It's very hard to actually land this stuff. So I think for more end game arena, even late game arena, it's not going to be super useful. But look, I mean, I think this is a better one, like compared to the Fortus thing. This on paper, at least there's some effort put in. I feel like I'd still be pretty underwhelmed to pull an Angar. He's definitely not jumping up my wish list at all, really, is my honest thought. But let me know, what do you think about this? For me, again, I think they really did a silly thing of sort of hyping this up. Maybe accidentally, maybe they didn't mean to, but man, telling us months in advance, like, yeah, guys, Fortus and Angar changes are coming. Then to just come in and be like, yep, we've upped the damage of one of his moves. Job done. Like, that's not something you hype up in advance. You really want to have something more substantial if that's going to be the case. Like, either have come in with 5 or 6 champions getting similar changes to these, or again, having actually big significant changes instead. So yeah, like again, these are the sort of things we should be seeing changes like this, like pretty much every patch, like every 2 weeks to a month, right? I would say we could have small changes like this. Like these are 2 legendaries, void legendaries that are obviously bad. They're obviously not good. They can obviously do with these buffs. I think the buffs are a step in the right direction, but like you get like Fortus was buffed like a year ago and then left being absolutely trash. He might still be absolutely trash after this. Like, do we have to wait like another year for his damage to be tweaked slightly or something? It's just not really, it's not inspiring, is it? Not especially after Kraken Week, guys. Come on. After Kraken Week, all of these events, so much money being asked out of you. Can we ask for a little bit more? That's what I think about that. Let me know what you think in the comments. This is going to be a fun one. I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.